hockey. Yeah.
My favorite. It's Judd's Hockey Show.
Welcome to a Monday morning edition of Judd's Hockey Show. Wild coming off a victory on Saturday night against the Islanders. Plenty to get to. It's Judd, it's AJ. It is now the 2-week break for the Four Nations face-off that the Wild will be having here. And AJ, let's start with that because we got some interesting but unpleasant news on Saturday before the game. Judd Eriksson Ek was scratched with a lower body injury that John Hines said is not the same that caused him double-digit games a couple months ago. But nonetheless, he was, I guess, questionable going into the game. They decided he should not play, to which point I thought, okay, well, he's going to not be going to the Four Nations face-off. And then Hines post-game said it's not that severe, it's not that serious. He will be going. He will be playing. I mean, this guy is obviously crucial to the Wild's success. We don't know what's wrong. They don't tell us what's wrong. We will trust them that it's not the same thing that kept him out for quite an extended period after I think he was hurt against the Vancouver Canucks at the X. But what are your thoughts on this? Knowing that this tournament is, to the players, incredibly important, you know, Ek is going to be, or Eriksson Ek is going to be representing his home country of Sweden. But that being said, also knowing that there is a chance here to aggravate the problem, make it worse, and then come back and, you know, be hampered by it, I guess you could say, or not play.
Yeah, for him as a countryman, a Swedish player, I mean, I'm happy he's able to go and represent his country on this stage where you're playing internationally. I know a lot of players, they like to rise to that occasion. They like to do it, you know, it's return to the homeland. It's, you know, it's all that fun stuff. As a fan of the Wild, as somebody who kind of, in a sense, like follows them around for work here, I hate it. If you can't play the game before this break, then why, in my mind, are you allowed to then go? Because if the quote is correct, it's like, we don't think he can hurt it any worse. So he's going to go play hurt?
No, Hines just said we don't think it's that. We don't think it's not the type of thing that we're concerned about.
Okay.
But I mean, we don't know what it is, and therefore, like, we don't know if there was a discussion about this. We just, because we don't know what's wrong, we have no clue as to, like, is this a good idea? Is this not? And you know, unlike the All-Star game, which is a gong show, it's all awful. But unlike the All-Star game, which is no check, this is anything but no check. This is going to be highly competitive.
Yeah, and that's where this is going to come back, I think, to bite the Wild. Like, I'm hoping that Sweden has a pretty quick. I know they play 3 games guaranteed, and then you get seeded after that, and hopefully it's a quick one and done.
It's 3 games in a championship, so
there's no even third place game.
No, it's just it's just a points thing.
Oh, amazing! So hopefully it's just 3 quick games. Sweden just kind of lackluster. Gus doesn't. Hopefully Gus doesn't get the start then, and then whoever's in net for them can just get lit up for 3 games, and then they can come back home. Because I don't want Judd Eriksson Ek, especially Jonas Brodin, who I know returned and has been healthy since taking that foot off the side, or that puck off the side of his foot. And then, you know, Gustafsson, we've talked about him. He's, I think, looked better now since that kind of rough stretch of games that he's had. Granted, I think at times when there is goals allowed by him, the defense in front of him is questionable, but he's looked like a better goaltender recently. Those 3 guys for Sweden, they're very crucial to the Wild lineup. Like, and now you're going in with Judd Eriksson Ek with something that they're not concerned about, but as a fan, I'm concerned about it because we've already seen him hurt already this year. We've seen how, in a sense, bad they are two-way when he's out of the lineup because they don't have a guy who is big, strong, reliable on the face-off dot, who can't kill penalties, who get, like, if you're missing that guy from the lineup, it's a tough time going. So if he is, I'm gonna use limping into this break here because it's a lower body injury, that raises concerns in my eyes. And I'm gonna have to trust you at face value, John Hines and Minnesota Wild medical staff, but what the peanuts you're selling right now, I'm just not buying them because I would like to know either A, exactly what it is. If it's not a concern, you should be able to tell us. I know they're not going to, it's the NHL. Or B, he probably should not be participating so he can get healthy for the second half of the season following this 2-week break. But I'm a little concerned about it. It's something that I'm going to be watching because you're exactly right. This is not a beer league on a Saturday night. We're going to go out there, and some guys might take it a little more serious, but for the most part, it's just a good old skate with the guys, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be hard, fast hitting hockey. Like, this is going to be guys bleeding, going hard to the net, deep into the corners.
Yeah.
This is going to be vicious hockey to watch. It's going to be fun to watch, probably. But for a guy who now we know has some sort of injury designation heading into it, I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, an X game is based on playing hard. Like that's how that's he plays a style that you actually admire, but the problem is it's probably leads to being hurt more. That being said, if that's with your team, that's one thing. If it's a break and then you go play for Sweden, it's probably another discussion. All right, let's get to it. Wild back-to-back wins at home. Some home momentum. Ladies and gentlemen, they're above 500 at home now. They beat Carolina last Thursday. It was actually the Islanders game was weird. The first period was okay. The first portion of the second, they were just absolutely checked out. It looked like they were mentally on vacation, and I was chalking that up as a loss at the time because I'm like, they've just checked out, which is another thing with breaks is you get to that last game and it's very like, okay, are you going to get an effort here or what?
Yeah.
But then to their credit, they storm back and they score 5 goals, and including an empty netter by Foligno to end the game, which gives them a win. I want to in particular talk about the performance of Matthew Boldy, okay? Because I thought Saturday night was the Boldy-esque of Boldy games. That is a game in which for a period and a half, he was floating around and he was non-existent and it was driving you crazy because it's like, okay, you got to do more. Now, I know he's going to play for the U.S. team in the tournament. But anyway, long story short, second half of the game, he was marvelous. Absolutely applied himself. I don't know if he got a talking to, or just he might have just said, you know what, I got to play harder. But I thought if there was ever to be like the poster child game for why do you complain about him or why do you think he's so good? I don't know I've ever seen a game in which he, ordinarily if he takes a powder, he just sort of takes a powder the whole game. I don't know if I've ever seen a game where there is such an instructive like manual of this is where Boldy gets in trouble. And conversely, this is where he flips a switch now, which he did, and is, gets a tip-in goal, if I'm not mistaken. That drive to the net where he stole the puck around the Islander blue line and then comes back on the backhand, carries a defender with him for a second, goes below the goal line, throws it out front. Tony DeAngelo, you got to feel terrible, knocks the puck in. But, I really thought that might have been like if you ever, at the end of the guy's career, if you want to say who was, at least up to this age, Matthew Boldy, who was he? That game was very, very instructive of how much he can be a non-factor and then an absolute dominant factor.
Yeah, I love when he drives the car. Like when he's in the passenger seat, there's no conversation happening. He's in the back seat, nodding off. He's laid back. He's sleeping. It's boring. When he hops in the driver's seat, he drives aggressive. He's trading paint with other cars. He's driving hard to the net. He's hitting that on ramp with speed and pace. Like he's merging. He's seizing the gap. That's exactly the Wild player I want to see from Matthew Boldy. And you're exactly right. Like it was what we see like over mainly like a span of a week or two, we saw in a full 60-minute game. I need that second 30 minutes because he really turned it on and is this, I'm not going to say it's a Yakov Trenin thing where it's like, oh, we know we have Team USA coming up. I got to head into that break on a high note. I got to turn my game on so that I'm on for Team USA. I got picked for a reason. This goes back to our conversation of this should be an everyday thing. Matthew Boldy looks like he should be able to do this, especially without Kirill Kaprizov in the lineup. Why are we not doing this every game? Because he should be able to go out there, be a guy who is a high first-round draft pick, who has the skill, who has the size, who has the speed, who has the physicality to do exactly what we saw for that second 30 minutes of Saturday's game, which is, I think, pretty easily displayed on both his goals. Out front, he's pushing guys around. He's maintaining a position right in front of Sorokin. He gets the tip in because he has good hands, but also paired with his size, he's able to get himself in that position. Then the takeaway with the hard drive, dropping the shoulder, going. He didn't really even drive to the net. He got low and tried to feed it out front for an opportunity. I think he was intending that pass for Zuccarello, but thankfully Good old Tony DeAngelo with his second of the night for the Minnesota Wild bats that right in. That was exactly the type of play that we need to see every night from Matthew Boldy. So that's why, and I know we may sound like, if you listen to the show regularly, watch the show regularly, you might think like, God, these guys hate Matt Boldy. No, it's just he is so good, and we recognize that. The bar for him is so high. We know what he can play like, so we just want to hold him to a higher standard because we think he's such an exceptional player.
Yeah, so his stat line: 2 goals, an assist, so 3 points, +2, 4 shots, 3 missed shots. So he took 7 shots. So yes, these are, you're exactly right. This has nothing to do with not thinking he's a really good player, but and the Kaprizov thing is very appropriate with Kirill Kaprizov out. Boldy is not Kirill. We're not trying to say that, but Boldy needs to be one of your dominant players, and he was like he emerged and he did everything that he had. And I think what drives you crazy is when he is not going well, the problem is glaring, like it's in front of you. It's not like, I wonder what happens. It's like, I know what happens. He does, he doesn't do what he did in the second half of that game on Saturday, which is he doesn't apply himself. He does, say what you will about Eriksson Ek, but I don't think there's a lot of games where you say, man, he didn't apply himself. Like, he is taking a beating. He is in guys' faces. He is doing things, and it gets him hurt. It gets him beat up. But I would far prefer to see a guy actually do that than to not. So, yeah, this is nothing to do with not thinking that Boldy is really good. It has, and plus we're scarred. We saw Charlie Coyle pull the same stunt. Jordan Greenway pulled the same stunt, which was, hey, when I want to play, I'm really good, but then I don't. But I actually think that if I was to rank those 3, I think talent-wise, it's Boldy, Coyle, Greenway, a distant 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
So that's the difference there. But yeah, that second half of that game was really, really impressive. Speaking of impressive, what the hell, and I hate the break for this, what has gotten into our guy, Yakov Trenin, who was scratched about 2 weeks ago now. I actually think his play picked up, not just from the scratching, but when he was demoted a couple of games back to the 4th line, because he started to play really hard there. But you talk about indictments. And look, Boldy on his worst day of not working hard is talented enough that it's never like oh my God, he's not any good. Trenin's like, this guy is terrible at times. He shouldn't be playing. And then these last 2 games when he's doing exactly what he should, which by the way does not involve anything to do with skill. I don't know about you, but on Saturday, second goal in 2 games there. He had, hold on a second here. So he had, I'm looking at the things here. Get this.
Was it 8 shots on goal?
8 shots on goal. Boldy had 4. He had 8 shots on goal. They had 33 as a team. He had two missed shots. So he had 10 attempts. He had 2 hits. He played 14-44. Where did this guy come from? Where did Yakov Trenin come from? And like, again, the shots is an anomaly, okay? But everything else about that stat line, he can do those things if he plays like that. But I am scratching my head, and does that guy now go to Turks and Caicos and never come back? Like that play, not the guy, play of that guy.
Yeah, though I didn't realize the Wild had another just Russian pure goal scorer on the team. I'm feeling it. I'm in a good mood heading into an international break essentially for this hockey team with the 4 nations facing off. I'm going to say my goal, my resolution, until he gives me a reason to otherwise, because he's going to have at least 2 weeks of just doing nothing. I'm going to say something nice about Yakov Trenin every show. So I want to say I liked his presence last night, or on Saturday night. I liked the way he positioned himself in front of the net, and he played unafraid. He played unapologetic. He said, I'm Yakov Trenin, and I'm going to go out there and play my game. And I would like to hope that his game moving forward here, Judd, is this hardworking, this unapologetic. I'm going to, like, I think, how many hits did he have? I'm trying to find that. I didn't see hits, but that's a guy. Okay, well, I was gonna say he should have 3 hits, I think, nightly. But the fact that he had 8 shots, he was in goal scorer mode. How am I expected to have multiple hits on the night? But the thing, he's gelling now. He's responding to the demotion to the 4th line. Maybe he thinks in his mind that's less pressure. So hey, I can go out there and kind of do whatever I want. I don't really know. I don't really care. This Yakov Trenin is one that I'm happy that he signed a 4-year contract with this team. I'd say let's get a 5th drawn up just in case.
I'm so
to keep this up.
So on Boldy, I think there's a fighting chance that you can get him to a place where he is continually, I would hope, playing hard.
Yeah.
Trenin, this is like my problem with Trenin is every time he has a game like this, I get mad. I get angrier because it's like, dude, you are not like. This is there for you because nothing about his game screams, oh my God, tonight he looked like Gretzky. Everything about his game screams, how hard did you work? And did you did you go to the net? Again, a tip-in. Did you go to the net? Did you go to the corner? Did you play hard? Boldy is play hard, but it's also, there's a little bit more of a, because of the skill, there's a little bit more of a discussion about what that skill entails. And certainly when he's playing hard, the skill comes out. Well, with Trenin, you never need the skill. It's never about the skill. It's about, did you work your ass off and play hard? And it just sort of, as driven as his countryman Kirill is, when Kirill plays, he just goes all out every time. Trenin is the exact opposite personality-wise. It's just like, oh, I got demoted. Oh, I guess I should try, And so now you're going to go on a 2-week break. And I also wonder, too, that kid that applies himself, like, right before a break or something? Like there's just some guys who are like okay,
a student that doesn't do a single shred of, like, homework.
Yeah.
And then the final is next week, and they're like, all right, let me study.
Yeah, and then it's pretty good. And it's like,
and
if you're the teacher, like, hey, Johnny, where was this?
Yeah.
That's Yakov Trenin.
My biggest question there, and hope, my biggest hope, I should say, is that we see this again, first game after, what is it? This Four Nations face-off wraps up on the 20th of the month, the 19th.
Yeah, they're back the 22nd. They're back Saturday the 22nd at Detroit, and then they play the next Tuesday here against Detroit.
Okay, so that first game back against Detroit.
Yep.
Like, this needs we can't. You need to, like, snip, and then drag those together. I want to see 0-0.
No, good luck.
I'm telling you, I have faith in Yakov. I have faith in Mr. Trenin because he's turned a new leaf. He's turned over a stone. I believe that when we come back, he's going to be flying in and out of the zone with his unapologetic self. He's going to be playing the hockey that we've seen the last 2 games.
He is the Russian Spicoli. If you've seen Fast Times, he is the Russian. He is the surfer dude. He's just trying to catch some waves. Like, and I mean, you have seen him post game. He is super laid back.
He seems like a guy that would be fun to get a beer with.
Yes, exactly right. He is super laid back, super chill. Seems like a nice dude.
Yeah.
I just think he is the Jeff Spicoli of his country. Hey, dude, just trying to catch some waves, just trying to score a goal. Hey, how about going, but it's funny because his body says, oh man, this guy must have to work real hard, which he should. Mm-hmm. But his attitude is like, and it's hard to change people. But again, that's where you shouldn't have to demote him every time or scratch him every time. But it's clear it worked. And that's the thing is, how long does that work for? Got a couple more things to get to. But before we do that, I want to talk about popcorn, the best locally popped fresh popcorn and fudge on the planet. Limited edition Kirill Kaprizov and Marc-Andre Fleury 1-gallon popcorn tins available now. Enjoy your favorite popcorn products in these tins for only $26. Get refills on standard flavors for only $8. You can also win Wild Sweet tickets to the March 13th game against the Rangers. Come into their store in Minnetonka, scan the QR code, or if you're outside the metro, go to popcorn.com/pages/mn-wild. That's popcorn.com/pages/mn-wild. Popcorn. They also have your favorite sports teams tins, as well as more than 80 flavors by the bag. Kaprizov and Fleury tins are only available while supplies last. Just check them out at popcorn.com. That's POPPED corn.com. or give them a call, 952-452-8808. Don't forget to also go in and win or attempt to win those Wild Sweet tickets, March 13th game against the Rangers, or scan the QR code if you're outside the metro. And AJ, golf season not here yet. Very cold outside, but it is coming. Spring training is starting. That means golf is right around the corner. So why don't you tell us about Swing Lab?
Yeah, and right now, if you stop by Swing Lab, they can get you fit with the brand new, all new 2025 products from whether it's Titleist, Callaway, TaylorMade, Mizuno, Cobra, Cleveland, Eriksson, and those brand new lab putters that everybody's kind of hopping on the trend for. They're professional club fitters. They will use data-driven feedback to put any golfer in the right clubs. Swing Lab will also be doing 2 different giveaways for 2 lower bowl tickets to Wild games. Right now, the current drawing is going through the 23rd of this month, and that'll be for a giveaway for tickets to the game on the 9th next month against the Penguins. And then the second raffle runs from the 23rd when that first one wraps up to the 31st of March here, and that'll be for the April 6th game at home against the Dallas Stars. Club fitting and purchase required to be entered into that raffle. And also, fellas, I reminded you this last week. It's Valentine's week this Friday. Make sure that is on your radar. And if you haven't gotten anything yet for that sweetheart in your life, Swing Lab is introducing a taste of the game. It's a Swing Lab performance golf experience. It's a bi-weekly instruction-based workshop inviting lady golf enthusiasts to interact and learn about the game we all love with distinctive twists such as having PGA certified instruction, programming to meet each player and help them discover clarity, success, and style in their games. Swing Labs will also make sure to improve play while making it fun and enjoyable. Ladies will enjoy 2 glasses of wine and instruction per session. You can get these in up to groups of 4, and those 4 groups is a discounted rate. So the more the merrier for these. Give them a call at 763-453-5892 or go online to swinglabperformancegolf.com. They're check them out online, or once again, that phone number 763-453-5892.
All right, last thing for you. I sensed an audition at the X on Saturday. I sensed an audition. I now, call me crazy.
Okay.
Brock Nelson, though, comes in. War Road Zone. Scores a goal, has an assist, 8 shots on goal, very Trenin-like. 10 attempts total because he had 2 missed shots, a hit. Maybe most importantly, he won, well, he was just below 500 in the faceoff dot, 8 wins, 9 losses. Now, I did see a report last week that there is some talk that the Islanders are going to try to work an extension with Brock, who could be dangled at the March 7th trade deadline. More importantly, probably is a free agent on July 1st. Definitely has been tied to the Wild. Also in the press box on Saturday, of course, Bill Guerin, Wild GM. Lou Lamoriello, Islander GM, who always travels. He's got to be 100 years old. He travels with his teams everywhere. He always has. It's very admirable. But what did you see? What do you think? Because if you know, and there's a good chance that it wouldn't be in a deadline trade, but if nothing else, I do think that Brock Nelson is among those to keep an eye on for if the Wild does indeed, which I think they're going to, try to make at least one significant free agent splash.
I mean, he's a savvy veteran goal scorer, and he showed that on Saturday. He's very comfortable going to certain areas that he finds success in. I mean, on his goal, I mean, he was just kind of waiting, prowling, waiting, and all of a sudden, dish to the side. He's there. He's not going to make a miss. That he arguably almost had 2. If it wasn't for he rang one off the post, but it kind of caught Gustafsson's arm, and it actually was a really, really good shot when you saw it on the slow-mo replay. It would have been a goal, I think, against a lot of goaltenders. So he very easily could have had 2 on Saturday. I will say this, and I'm going to be the damp towel on the fire of everybody who wants to make a big trade deadline splash. I don't know if that's the guy that I want to. Do I like his play? Yeah, I think so. Do I think he's the right guy to help elevate this team, given what I think it's probably going to cost the Minnesota Wild? No, I don't. One, they're already talking about potentially the 3-year extension that I saw. They're looking to maybe get that done. At that point, I think they're wrestling like, do we make this guy an Islander for life, or what do we do here? I think if I was in Bill Guerin's shoes, I would say, you know what? I would probably ask, because you have to, like, that's his job. You have to figure out what the price point is. But there's a very strict line of here's what I'm willing to give that doesn't take away from that number 2 prospect pool that was just recently ranked by The Athletic, that doesn't mortgage draft pick future on anything. This is a guy where, do you feel confident if you're trading for him to are you going to extend him? I think that's the big thing here, because obviously he wants to play more. He's going to play more. But I don't know if that's the guy moving past this season when there's going to be some other options in free agency. That's where the Minnesota Wild want to allocate that salary cap that's suddenly coming off the books that they're getting added in the coming years. And also, if this isn't the year, maybe you do a little bit here and there, and you kind of possibly the next year is when they really make a major splash, because all you have to do there is just have a convincing setup. And I think the Wild, given their prospects, given essentially if they can convince Kirill Kaprizov, hey, we're going to sign, that is the biggest selling point, I think, of all time for other free agents, where it's like, hey, we can convince him, and he's 2, 3 times, 5 times the player you are. How about you come here too? And now we're going to offer you a lot of money. I don't know if Brock Nelson, to be clear there, Brock Nelson is the guy I want the Wild to go after at the trade deadline if they do make any sorts of splashes.
Yeah, I think there's a better chance probably that if he does join the team, it would be on July 1st. But and then the question there is exactly some of the same things that you just ran through as far as, is that your splash move? The fact he can play center is certainly attractive, but I guess I'm still in the camp of, I don't think I would do personally anything drastic at the deadline. Like I would not force a big move. And now cap wise, it might be damn near impossible as well, but he's certainly been talked about, but he's also been talked about, as far as a deadline deal, free agency move. He's an intriguing name. He's not a young guy, but I was impressed. Like he looked good. He looked real good. So, and 8 shots on goal. Him and Trenin, eight shots apiece. Figure it out, man.
2 peas in a pod.
2 peas in a pod. Brock Nelson and Trenin, future line mates next year. Heck, you know what? Second line. Who knows?
And where would you rather have the Wild get into a bidding war? In assets for a trade, or in a free agency where maybe you have to throw in like a no move clause, or you have to throw in an extra $250,000?
Throw it in. They'd
I
it
think
to him. You want to know move? You want to know move? You want to know trade? You want to know nothing? You'll never have to work again.
I feel like that's the first thing that they
free agency. I don't want to make any moves that take away a really good prospect now, just because I don't know that you're really that close yet. Yeah. So and look, until we see, my biggest thing is with Kirill out now. And we don't know when he's back, and we certainly don't know what he's going to look like when he's back. And that does not mean I think he's going to be bad. It does mean that I think he's probably going to take some time. I don't want to try and force something. So I would prefer to bid on July 1st on players, especially a guy who I guess I could get at the deadline for a pretty steep price, but then 4 months, 5 months after the fact, I could sign him. So I think that the time for deadline deals is not here yet. I don't think. And look, the team they're in what, 3rd place right now. They've overachieved for sure. It's a pretty damn good story. All of that being said, I would probably be reticent to give up much, and I'm guessing that Lou would want a ton, and so I'm probably out on that. But that's just me.
And also, you got to think, especially just in his case specifically, if you go with the bidding war, selling point, whatever, in July, you could pull the, hey, Minnesota card. You already know.
Oh, he'd come back because of that.
And that's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to pay that steep of a price. He might even, in a sense, tell other teams, hey, I already kind of have my mind made up. There's no reason to get into this major bidding war.
Right.
I know where I'm going. So.
Right. All right, great stuff. Back tomorrow with Jesse Pierce. Plenty to talk to. We'll talk about the upcoming tournament, which, by the way, we're very excited about. We're just a little bit reluctant to see the Wild's top players, and this is going to be a league-wide problem. Get into plenty of that. Wrap up what Jesse saw before the break as well. All of that on Judd's Hockey Show tomorrow. Thanks for watching today.